week finally has a name for its new WNBA team. The MLB trade deadline has come and passed, and WWE SummerSlam is in the rearview mirror. We got a lot to get to on this season finale of Championship Ring, so let's not waste any time, baby, and start tonight's show.
All right, guys, welcome in. This is the season finale of Championship Rings. We are 46 episodes in, 133 episodes in total. We have a lot to get to tonight, but as you'll see in the opening, we have with us once again tonight, friend of the show, Sean Fitzgerald. Sean, welcome back to Championship Rings.
Glad to be back.
And Josh, I know that this first topic is near and dear to your heart, so let's get right into it. After months of speculation, we finally have the official name of Cleveland's WNBA team. It is not what many people thought it was going to be, which was the original name, the Rockers. They are beginning a whole new era, and they are officially known as the Cleveland Sirens.
Can you guys hear the call? This was 13 months in the making, to be exact. We have been waiting. And yes, it is the Cleveland Sirens. I really like the name. It pays tribute to our biggest asset, which is Lake Erie. I like that they didn't go with Lady Cavaliers. They didn't choose to use the colors of the Cavaliers. They want to be their own team. I love it. You know, the logo, I would take it or leave it. It's not great to me, but the name Sirens, it's based off mythology and the water and a lot with like Poseidon and stuff like that.
You are getting into my language, and I'll go there in a minute.
So I love it. You know, I personally like that they didn't bring back the name Rockers because I don't really have any association with that name. And also I feel like, you know, a lot of things in Cleveland use the rock and roll stuff, and I get it. We have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and rock and roll is big in this city, but do something different. Like, there's more to Cleveland than just the Rock Hall. I love it. It ties right into one of our other tenants, the Cleveland Monsters. That's, you know, lore. And they play at Rocket Arena. That's where the Sirens are going to play. So I'm all for it. Currently, I'm a Minnesota Lynx fan, but I can tell you this right now. When the Sirens start in 2028, they will be my team.
Go ahead, Fitz.
So did either of you happen to, growing up, read Percy Jackson and Olympians by Rick Riordan? I just want to ask that question first.
Nope.
Well, I did.
Might have.
I am a big Greek mythology guy, so it took me a minute to kind of just process, get everything that they had put together behind the scenes. And Josh, you took basically my whole spiel and just already used it. The Lake Erie part of it, the Greek mythology. Again, like, I am big on Greek mythology. I know that Riordan also did a crossover of sorts with Greek and Roman. I won't get into that, but I really like it. I really like the blue. As you said, I thought I would have been fine if they went Rockers, but you know, I like the Sirens. It just kind of, and with the mythology of it, can kind of lull you in, and then there you go. There's a whole lot of stuff, and I don't know if it'll be seen in something like the Odyssey. I have not seen it, but if you know your Greek mythology, you know what I'm probably referring to.
So I'm going to take a different approach.
Oh, boo, bird. Boo.
Boo!
It's not even about the name, guys, because I don't care about the name, because I don't even care about the team. I'm going to be honest with you. Cleveland has already 3 professional sports teams, and 2 of them are already significantly undercovered in the local media here in Cleveland.
You mean the Guardians and
the Cavaliers? They
I
are
would
both
say Cavs are at
significantly
least decently covered during their
they
season.
are both significantly undercovered compared to what they should be.
Yeah, and unfortunately, part of that's due to the staff cuts a couple of years ago at the Athletic that let Kelsey.
No. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the local radio.
Hold on.
I'm talking about the local radio that is here in
Oh.
Cleveland that covers the teams. They are significantly undercovered, and you guys know what I'm talking about.
I do, yep.
So this WNBA team is already going to be going up in football season against the most popular team in town, regardless of how good or bad they are. And they're also going to be going up against, presumably in 2028, what we hope with a bigger payroll will be the Major League Baseball team. And by the way, I would argue that when the Guards are good, they are, in Cleveland's history the last 30 years, the second most important team in town, and the Cavs are third, minus the LeBron James there. So what I'm saying is, I understand why the WNBA is doing it. I understand why Cleveland is getting a team, why Detroit's getting a team, why these other NBA markets are getting a team. And I think there will be some level of support.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not think that this is going to be all of a sudden become a massive WNBA crowd. Now, if we get a star, if we would get Caitlin Clark, there's a difference. But if there is no star, then I'm sorry, there's not going to be much interest in this team. There is a reason why.
Oh, quit being the negative, man.
No. Brandon's got a point. I see where he's coming from. I was
no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Let me add here.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, let me add here. This was something that was a bit of a concern for me, was how long does it take for all the fan interest to come in? And I feel like there's going to be at least stronger than I think we're anticipating, at least originally. But to Brandon's point, and one I really agree with, I think it'll take getting the right kind of a superstar to come in. I'm not saying necessarily Caitlin Clark, but someone who's gritty, kind of just represents the city, almost like and I hate to, use male athletes to compare this to, but like your Jose's, your Nick Chubbs, if you want to use a Olympian more so, like Katie Moon from Olmsted Falls. But those were the types of people that, you would need in a star to hopefully be able to help, along with, I don't know if they're going to have the first overall pick, depending on if there's going to be more than one. Yeah, but basically what I'm trying to say here is, if you can get one established star within the first, let's say, 3 years of play, right? I think that will really help, because that's when I think folks who are more like what's the word I'm looking for here?
Casual,
more fair weather will be able to really like latch on.
Well,
but, like that's the only part where like
I'll add this as well. Weirdly, I think the team's success will depend on the success of the Cavs. Because I think if the Cavs are not in consistent playoff contention, if the core 4 blows up and whatever you may have and they're not as good as they have been, I actually
the only
think
one that thinks Harden's gone.
I think that will help. Well, we'll get to the NBA in a minute, but I think that will help the WNBA team. Because again, Josh,
I'm trying not to go off on both of you right now.
This part I disagree with, Josh, with what Brandon's saying. The only part I agreed with was the star factor part.
I'm sorry, guys.
To not explode on both
guys,
of you right
this team is not going to do that well. It's not.
We realize that. It's not going to go well right at not in the first few seasons. It's an
okay. You haven't been paying attention then, because the Golden State Valkyries came in. They did it in the last. They came in.
Okay, but that's Golden State. Who else do they have to compete in their own market? They have no one else competing with them. All their teams left.
They have the Warriors. They have
exactly. It's the same.
No.
And they don't even have the Warriors, Josh. They're in
Every
San Francisco
team,
now.
Golden State.
Hold on.
The Raiders,
Hold on.
They all left Oakland.
Hold
Oakland
on.
was
No, you're both
boy.
wrong.
They moved across the bay to San Fran.
The Golden State Valkyries play in the Chase Center where the Warriors play.
I understand that, but we're saying basketball to basketball. I'm talking about this WNBA team in Cleveland has, by the way, they're going to be the 5th team on the totem pole now if you include the Monsters in this own city.
And there's going to be a either women's or men's pro team for soccer. And then
that's actually going to be a minor league team from what I understand.
But still affiliated with the MLS, right? Basically.
And MLS next.
My point is, I think if this team was in Columbus, I think they would do amazing. I'm not doubting the impact of the WNBA. I'm doubting the market they're in, specifically this market, because of the teams that are already established here, because we have maybe one of the most well-run and most consistent baseball teams in the country, and nobody talks about them until they might be a playoff team in September. And we all know it, guys.
And that's
okay, wait, hold on. You're saying that we need a superstar or a star caliber player. No, we don't. No. You are.
So why should I go to the arena then? What am I seeing? Because here's the other point too.
You're brand new
now
team.
I have to learn. Now I have to learn a whole new league. Now I have to go out of my way to learn a whole new league.
And that's the point that Brandon, you need someone to help pull you in.
You'll want to learn about the team.
What's going to be the hook? What's the incentive? What's the cookie? You need to have that. And
okay, 2028 is going to be their inaugural season.
But what's the why, Josh? What is the why? That is what I'm actually asking you. What is the why? What is the draw? Why should I want to go see this new team?
We both have sports administration minors, by the way. I don't know if you did or did not, Josh. That's why we're kind of getting at this.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I vehemently disagree with both of you. Like, Golden State, hold on.
No, I just want to know.
State doesn't matter in this.
No, yes, it does.
Take them out. Take
no,
them out.
the Valkyries.
Take them out.
The Valkyries didn't, when they came in, they didn't have a star player right away. And
Josh,
yet,
let me rephrase this question to you.
Came in. Toronto just came in. Toronto and Portland. Hold on, not done. Toronto and Portland both came in. Neither of them have star caliber players, and yet their fans are still showing up. So fans are going to show up whether you have a star player. It definitely helps if you get a star caliber player. That part I understand. Yes. But if your team gets off to a strong start, and even if they start slow, you're still going to be building up your fan base. People are going to want to see when the Las Vegas Aces come to town because they're one of the best teams in the WNBA. People are going to want to come to when Caitlin Clark is in town, when the Minnesota Lynx are in town. There you go.
Josh, I'm going to throw this question back at you.
Go.
What is it going to take for fans to be interested in? This is outside of us three here, right? All of us here are interested in sports. But that's not the same for everybody. The same incentive does not apply across the board. That's what you have to think here, is that if you're trying to build a long-term relationship with your fan base, with a developing fan base, that's what we're trying to get at. That's why you need the hook. That's the why. If you want a why to come, like most people are not going to just want to learn. I'm using the words that you said, want to learn the league, right? They are not going to want to learn. Now, if you have a draw, something to help bring in a crowd, that will be the trigger towards helping. And obviously winning is going to help. That point, I think we all agree on. The problem is that you need, again, remove the three of us from this discussion. Imagine we know nothing about sports. If we know nothing, what's our what? We don't have a draw outside of Caitlin Clark. That one we all agree on. Probably more than likely than not. There's no other real draw. So if you start off and you're not, really doing super well, you're kind of middling, let's say. That's where we're getting at, is that you need to have, I'm not saying in that year one per se, but you need to be able to eventually attract and land a superstar. And that will be when you really get people, because not everyone wants to learn. There's some people who just go and just may remain, for lack of better terms, ignorant. You need to have a draw. You need to have a reason for fans to want to learn why they should care. That's what we're trying to get at.
Well, let me add real quick, because this has nothing to do with Cleveland. This is about the WNBA in general. Because, Josh, you know this. Fitz, I pitched, and Josh, I don't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago on the show, but I said essentially, and I'm forgetting the name of the WNBA commissioner. I apologize off the top of my head. But I essentially said, you know what I would do if I was the WNBA operations? I would temporarily merge my operations with the NBA. And however you wanted to do it, if you wanted to make Silver the commissioner of both, if you wanted to make Mark Tatum like the WNBA commissioner, I would basically take the two brands, because they're already merged in certain ways. They're merged with the NBA Cares, they're merged with the NBA 2K video game and all of that. I would merge both of those brands essentially together and have the NBA operations and marketing departments market and run the WNBA, because that's the only way they are going to get to the level, because clearly they're not embracing literally their biggest star they've ever had, who 2 years ago was setting record-breaking viewership. 2 years ago, she was the lead in person on various talk shows around the country, including this one. And now, I don't want to say she's an afterthought because she's finally healthy. And Josh, me and you talked about last week the fact the WNBA All-Star Game attendance-wise beat out the NBA All-Star Game this year, and I think she had a lot to do with that. But that's the type of level that the WNBA is going to take to get to the next level.
Okay. First of all, the players we draft in the expansion draft aren't necessarily going to be the players that we actually go out onto the court with to start the.
We understand that.
You could trade for players. There could be a top star in college that we end up drafting. You don't know. So maybe some of the players we bring in end up becoming star caliber players.
To be fair, I never said it was a definite, it's going to be a complete failure. I just said it's going to be a lot more of an uphill battle than you think it's going to be.
The fan base
fact that the Guardians team that's always been better than the Browns cannot get more than maybe 1 minute on one of the two radio stations we are referring to. That's a problem that that not only the Cavs, but the Sirens are going to have to overcome. And that's honestly, and I'm going to keep things as PG here as possible, pathetic by those stations.
All right, well, guys, we got to move on to our next topic.
That part I agree with you, Fitz. Fitz, I do agree with you about that.
We got to move on.
I will say that.
All right, guys, let's talk about some NFL news, because training camp is in. It's happening. Teams are practicing all over, and we've got 3 running backs this week who some of them were hold in, some of them were not, but they all got paid. Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs are all now under new contracts.
Yes. These are the 3 top running backs in the NFL, along with Saquon and Derrick Henry. You can put them in whatever order you want. That's my opinion. I don't feel like there's a surefire number 1, but closest would probably
what about
be
McCaffrey, huh?
He's too injury prone, in my opinion.
Well, McCaffrey's in there, but to Josh's point, he had over 400 touches last year. Usually that means the next year you're going to get hurt this year.
Yes.
And Achan and James Cook.
Achan's not in the top 5. I think James Cook actually
was the 5th leading rusher last year. He had 1,350 yards.
He's a decent back, but I don't think of him as a game-changing back the way I think of Cook, Derrick Henry, Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson.
The fact that 32 is so old
Taylor.
in the NFL, like Derrick Henry, I hope he keeps going, man. But
not
with the freaking Ravens, of course.
So here's the thing about running backs, guys, and I have always said this, and the running back position has been taking on a little bit of a renaissance. As we know, the last few years, running backs have felt more important. The league is sort of going back to this run the ball, play defense to eye safety type of league. We've seen sort of the reinvention of the running back position. However, a lot of the running back success does have to do with the strength of the offensive line. Saquon Barkley did have over 1,000 yards last year, and everybody said he was washed because he was getting tackled in the backfield half the time because the play calling was predictable and the offensive line wasn't up to Philadelphia Eagles standards. When I look at contracts and extensions, it's one of the reasons why I don't love to do these topics, because it's not about the money. It's not. Of course, you're going to get an extension, and Atlanta has to extend Bijan Robinson because they don't have a quarterback, so they're going to extend Bijan Robinson. Indianapolis doesn't have a quarterback. They might, who knows, with Daniel Jones' situation, but they're going to extend Jonathan Taylor. Detroit, yes, they're going to extend Jahmyr Gibbs because he is one of one. He's arguably right there with Achan, the fastest back in the league. They let go of David Montgomery in order to do so. But it's not about the years. It's not about the money. It's not even about the guarantee. The only number that really matters when it comes to these contract extensions is what is your cap hit this year and beyond. Can I extend you 2 or 3 years so I can actually lower your cap hit? You can get the same amount of money in signing bonuses, etc., but I can lower your cap hit so I can build my team to have more success for you. And contract extensions in the NFL, as we know, they don't mean much. I mean, I'm going to give you an extreme example here, but let's just say, for example, Jonathan Taylor's been in the league since, I think, 2018. I think he was a second-round pick out of Wisconsin. I think it was the 2018.
He was a second-rounder. I'm trying to remember.
I'm going to give an example for you. If he falls off a cliff this year because the Colts are bad and they're struggling and he doesn't have the same year, what's going to stop them from cutting him next year? Nothing.
Oh, he was 2020. Holy crap.
2020. So that's my point. He's been in the league 7 years. The average running back shelf life is 7 years. So there's a possibility, this guy signed an extension. What's going to stop me from cutting him or trading him next offseason? Nothing.
Nick Chubb injury. Screw you, Steelers.
That's why I don't like these contract extension stories. It's like slow news days where it's like, this guy got an extension. Let's spend a whole day on it on the radio. For what? We're wasting time.
We've got baseball to cover, man.
See, I think all 3 of these are more significant than both of you are leading on. Because like you said, in Atlanta, they don't have a quarterback. Whether it's Tua or Michael Penix, I don't trust either one of them.
And both of them are hurt right now, by the way.
Bijan's their primary offense.
Well, that's my point. Of course you're going to extend him. So I don't care. Of course you're going to extend him.
Yes. And in Detroit, they traded David Montgomery because they believe so much in Jahmyr Gibbs, but now he's the primary guy. Like, they broke up Sonic and Knuckles. So I want to see how that goes. But it's Indy I'm most interested in with Jonathan Taylor, because prior to his injury, Daniel Jones was playing really well, and the Colts looked like a legit threat.
And
Whether they
trade for Sauce Gardner, I don't know what happened, but are we forgetting you can't do anything with Jeremiah Love's contract in Arizona because he's on a rookie deal? That's hilarious to me.
Yeah. And thank you for adding that. A running back got drafted 3rd overall, and we were saying if the Cardinals didn't take him, maybe the Titans would have taken him 4th overall. So that shows you the value of a running back. Hell, the Super Bowl MVP was a running back.
Well, but to your point, guess what they did? They did not re-sign him.
I know, but he got a big contract.
He did, because Kansas City hadn't had a run game in 3 years, and Mahomes was coming off an injury.
Dude, Walker is going to be fun to watch in Arrowhead this year.
He is, but also Seattle said we have Charbonnet, and they had the kid they drafted out of
Charbonnet's got some burst.
Notre Dame, who was Jeremiah Love's backup last year. So like it just depends on the makeup of your team. Like again, when you don't have a run game for a long time and you bring in a running back, it is very similar to what Philadelphia did with Saquon, very similar to what Baltimore did with Derrick Henry, what Kansas City's trying to do with Kenneth Walker. I get it, but history tells you usually, and this could change because of the way the position has been the last 2-3 years. Usually when a team pays a running back top dollar, it is because they don't have a quarterback and they need someone to give them the ball.
Fair enough, but I love that these 3 got paid. It shows that the value of the running back. I've been saying it for years, not just on this show, but over on my own show. I hate how much like the quarterback gets all the praise and the quarterback should win MVP, and the quarterback should win Super Bowl MVP. No, like if Matt Stafford, if he throws a 10-yard throw or pass rather to Puka Nacua and it ends up turning into a 20-yard play, who made that play? Was it Matt Stafford or was it Puka? I'm sorry. It was Puka.
Probably both. Probably because Stafford had to throw a really good ball and actually get the ball to Puka. The offensive line, because they had to protect Stafford enough for him to get that ball out to Puka. Puka to be able to make the play. It all works. The NFL was very simple, guys. On offense, all 11 guys have to do their job perfectly or the play gets disrupted.
And yet it's always the damn quarterback getting the most credit, and I will
I don't know why, because outside of Seattle, Sam Darnold played like a top 10 quarterback this year throughout the whole season. Outside of them, name me the team the last 20 years that didn't have a top 10 quarterback win the Super Bowl. I'll give you one. Philly with Nick Foles. That's it. And it was because Nick came in at the end of the year.
But also because he had freaking Alshon Jeffrey on the outside. He had Zach Ertz.
Yeah, and he also threw for 350 yards and rightfully won the Super Bowl MVP because he was the best player on the field that day.
I'm trying to remember your other big wide receiver that you had on that team. It was Alshon.
It was Torrey Smith, and Nelson Aguilar had a career year that year.
Okay, so Alshon was your main wide receiver, but you also
was the number one. He had a great year that year. Yes.
Yes, and you brought in Jay Ajayi to complement at the running back position.
Along with LeGarrette Blount, yes, and Zach Ertz at tight end.
Exactly. You're making my point for me.
How am I making your point when the quarterback makes the plays?
Just because the quarterback is the one getting the ball to these guys doesn't mean he's the one making the play.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Let me ask you a question. What's the biggest reason why the Patriots made the Super Bowl this year, even though they got killed in the game? What's the biggest reason they got there? Because they were a 3-win team 2 years ago. So why did they get there? I don't know. They got Drake May. Joe Burrow took the worst offensive line in the history of the NFL to the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert got the Chargers to the playoffs with a 32nd ranked offensive line in football last year. By the way, both of his tackles were injured the whole year. And by the way, your Browns would probably win 9 games if they had a legitimate quarterback, but they don't.
Truth.
I will continue to hate it.
I think Fitz is ready for baseball. Let's talk baseball. Let's get to the MLB.
Yes!
You mean the team that has ruined baseball and will cause
Wait, hold on.
Whoa!
I'm going to start there. Hold on. I'm starting there. Because I am pushing back on this narrative that the Dodgers are the big bad Dodgers and they've ruined baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, did you watch the World Series? Who was the better team in that World Series? Because I'll tell you right now, it wasn't the Dodgers. They were not the better team in that World Series. Do you know how many things went right in that Game 7 for the Dodgers to even have a chance to get that to extra innings to win the game?
Well, here's the factor I want you to take into consideration too, Brandon. Blue Jays had a first-round bye. They were a top 2 seed in the American League. The Dodgers had to play in the wild card round. They were the 3 seed. They had to play 2 extra games. In an earlier round. And
it was a cakewalk for them against Cincinnati.
Okay, but then they blew the doors off Milwaukee, who was a really good team.
Yeah. I think last year the lineup-wise advantage would go to the Blue Jays, and the pitching advantage would have gone to the Dodgers.
I agree, but by the way, it also took Yamamoto coming out of the bullpen after he started Game 6 and threw multiple innings in Game 7 to get the game home.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I'd say rotation was Dodgers' advantage, hitting was Toronto's advantage. That was a much closer series.
I guess my
than we
point
all
is
want to
this.
admit.
2 things can be true. We can all agree there is an economic disparity in baseball, but also
it's goes back a few decades now. We need to get rid of the court bankruptcy protections. I don't know how much you know about it, Brandon, but basically when the team was in bankruptcy, yes, before this current ownership group, they had their TV deal, like a lot of this tax stuff, not collectible until 2038 or 39 right now. That is what has enabled the Dodgers, not the deferred money part necessarily, but it's a larger problem that has led to them to be able to use the Tampa Bay model, which Andrew Friedman brought over more than a dozen years ago plus. It's the fact that their TV deal is so protected from the revenue distribution pool. They get to keep most of their money compared to any other team in the league. $330 million or so, give or take. That's the issue with the Dodgers, is that they've got an unfair loophole, not because of the team that's right now, but because of a past ownership group's utter incompetence that has given them a leg up. Because otherwise, who knows how this would all be working out. I'm not saying this as in the Dodgers wouldn't be still 2-time defending champs, but oh my God, they'd be in a whole different financial situation right now.
For the record, guys, the Rays, who are leading the American League, have the 4th lowest payroll in baseball. So
how many teams
I've argued
2015
this for
have won the World Series if they didn't have a top 10 payroll?
I can look that up. I don't know that off the top of my head.
None.
Do you? Is it 0?
None. Yeah. None. The Royals are the anomaly. They're the anomaly.
Cubs, Astros, Red Sox, Washington
top
had
10. One. All of them. The Royals are
but
the
that doesn't mean they haven't gotten there. It doesn't mean they haven't gotten there.
But who's taken home the titles? I'm not saying this as a Dodgers argument, right? Every team since the Royals.
No, you're right.
Every single one of them, top 10.
My point is, it's not like a video game where you can stack your roster to 90, all 99s, and they're unbeatable. Like,
yeah,
I
don't like the most vulnerable they've been in the last couple of years because.
Let me be clear.
Yeah,
I don't like it either, and I know there's this conspiracy theory all over, and I don't want to walk out, and I know it's going to happen. I understand it all.
Oh, this has been in the offing for like at least 5 years, man.
It's the Dodgers' fault.
It's not their fault.
But it's not the Dodgers' fault. It's not just their fault.
Also, it's a few other markets.
It's
look at Big Daddy Steve Cohen with his willingness to blow
the
past
one
tax threshold.
the only thing that got the Dodgers' attention was when they signed Shohei Ohtani and they did the deferment of payments. That's what got people pissed off about the Dodgers.
Yeah, because here was the thing. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that the Dodgers have an unfair loophole that, again, it's not like the current ownership created this. This was from the McCourt family, and I want Major League Baseball and their ownership to force the Dodgers to somehow give up that legal protection. That needs to be a first and foremost thing in negotiations. That will help. That will help. It will not be the cure, but it will help.
I do know what you're talking about, Fitz. And you're right. That has been a big reason why the Dodgers have been able to do what they've done. It's also the fact that there is no salary cap in Major League Baseball.
I also am going to slam the owners for going with an absolute hard cap, because here's the thing. The hard cap, as they are currently pitching it, still favors the big markets. It doesn't favor the small markets. It favors the big markets. You'll see more NBA, NFL style players trying to force their way into the bigger markets. Soft cap, 10-year contract limit at max. Don't do 5, don't do 6. That's going to favor the big markets. I want there to still be some of what we have right now, more of a focus on taking out what would be the NBA second, that apron, and reform the luxury tax into a true soft cap and actually have a spending floor. I don't like the owners, how they're trying to, not only that, but like all their proposals for the most part are to drive down costs for them. And honestly, they are ruining a really good chance to go about things here. They are really ruining their leverage. And I'm saying this as someone who's more on the owner's corner side while understanding the player's side. The owners need to get off their high horses. The union does too. But the owners, 10-year contract limit, don't go with the hard cap. Because here's why I'm saying that, Brandon, before you chime in. I know you have some thoughts on that. Don't make teams like Cleveland, like Tampa Bay, like Milwaukee have to give up their biggest stars because of a hard cap to a big market. That's my issue. You should be allowed to go over the cap to retain your guys. And it shouldn't be as punitive as the NBA's first and second apron system right now. That's why I want it to be a soft cap spending floor. Get the Dodgers freaking tax exemption or whatever you want to call it legally. Just kablooey it with, I don't know, bazooka, whatever it could take.
My only comment is, because you guys know what has my complaint been about the NBA for the last 8 years. We've had no villain. And the Dodgers are the MLB's villains. And guess what? The ratings are up. The World Series is up. It was probably the best World Series that I've seen in my lifetime. Second would be 2016. But yeah, it was two great teams. I'm not saying what the Dodgers are doing is great for the sport, because it's not. But
it's good to have a villain. It's just not good to look. Even Max Scherzer, when he was with the Nationals, he had some deferred money in his contract too. Deferred money was not a new concept because of the Dodgers.
No,
and it was done in moderation.
People were
what the
mad
Dodgers
because
have
of
done
Ohtani.
is taken that to an absolute extreme. And
yeah,
Ohtani,
the way Ohtani structured his contract, he took it.
That's what started this whole conversation. That's what started the whole lockout.
So let me state this here. One of the things they'll need to address is basically you can't defer more than maybe 30% of a contract. You cannot allow a team, again, it should have been a 70 million AAV cap hit, average annual value. Instead, it's like 43.33 or 44.33 with how they did it. That's not okay. That lessens the tax bill. But here's also, it's going to be funny in the future. Maybe not funny, right word. But when the bills all come due, if there's a bad financial crunch again, like there was with the McCourts, this is a different scenario, obviously. and the Dodgers can't pay those contracts in the future because of all the deferments, how much is that going to hurt them if they get into that problem?
Well, I want to go back to the trade deadline, Fitz, because there was a
Ooh.
lot of talk about, was there going to, obviously, Scuba was going to be on a move. It was reported for weeks. So there was a lot of talk about how many moves are people going to make because of the potential impending lockout. Are people going to be scared?
There were a lot more top 50 prospects moves than I thought there would.
Yes, that's my point. Go ahead.
I mean, just really and I gotta give Chris Antonetti his flowers here. Like, you go and get a couple of rentals with Nathaniel Lowe. He's a guy I've liked for a long time, not necessarily someone I've been super strongly about, but I love that you got a masher like him. You've already seen him make an impact in these first couple of games. Obviously, Foster Griffin didn't have the best of starts today. Honestly, it's always weird coming from a night game to a day game. It's one of those things. I have a hard time explaining to folks. But when you're learning a new staff, and especially there's going to be some adjustments for him. I think he'll be fine. But I mean, on the whole, Carson Bang or Benj, rookie for the Mets. Oh my gosh, he got off fast start, hit a big skid, and then he's just been slowly picking it back up. That kid is legit, and unfortunately, you had to run into him, and he's been hot. But to say nothing more of speaking of just hot, Angel Henao. That is how you pronounce it, folks, not Angel Janao. And it's something that I'm just stating for the record, just because it's one of those things where even Angel Martinez, Jose Ramirez, Eugenio Suarez, you got to try and take into account there are names that are, pronounced based off of locale. And with Henao, I want to give credit here to the person who got him onto my radar. His name's Willie Hood. He had gone off of social media for about a year or so. But if you want to go and follow him, I'm going to just give him a shout out at Will HOO99. He was the one that first got Henao onto my radar. And the more I looked into Henao after he got him onto my radar a year ago, oh my God, I have been waiting for this kid to come up. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And I was about to be pulling out Applebee's the other night when I looked at my phone after just having a late night dinner with some folks after playing a little bit of ball. I was like, bleep the hell, yes, he's coming up. But I hope he's probably, and this is somewhat based off of Willie's own words and just after being able to see him last couple of years develop, it's ironic that Francisco Lindor was in town because this may be your best superstar developed prospect homegrown since Lindor. And I want him extended right freaking now.
Well, Josh, you were at the game too, and I don't know if Fitz, you don't know this or not, but our friend Josh is a Cubs fan. So 2016 was an interesting time in the Unger household.
I will hold no qualms since I did not know Josh at that time.
Go ahead, Josh.
I can tell you when that third out was made, I went running up to my room, started playing Go Cubs Go. I thought I was going to cry. That's how
excited with the Cavs title. I felt that same way.
Oh, trust me. 2016 was great because I had my two
it would have been better if we didn't have this longest drought still.
Fitz, I'm surprised you didn't mention Joe Adell, but
I know that I know I was going to forget something, but Joe Adell, he had a breakout year last year for first time, a little bit down this year. Obviously, it's when you're a super uber talented prospect like he was. He's a 2017 first round draft pick by the Angels. Finally move him. Look, his glove isn't as great as people think it is. He's got a lot of athleticism. He's able to make a lot of great catches, but he's not the best defender. He's a solid defender. You'll have him for a year and a half. I like what he's been able to do so far, but right now, the thing is, and I forget who it was, but I'm paraphrasing what Austin Hedges said just recently. I forget who relayed this. It may have been the radio broadcast. Again, I'm just trying to recall. There are going to be some growing pains, especially, with a team that's still young and calling up some younger guys outside of the rotation. Even Messick's had his moments here and there where he's had to have some growing pains. You've seen Gavin Williams really take on the role of the staff ace, which is really, really good timing, especially given.
If you ask me, he should have been in that role from day one this year.
Well, he needed to. Well, he was close. He was very close. And honestly, I think Gavin Williams is on his way. If he does not hit a major speed bump, and I mean like for an extended skid, I think he's going to maybe be top 2 Cy Young in the American League.
I have a bobblehead right above my head that is the Gavin Williams bobblehead I got earlier this year from the one game. Yeah. I will be at the Padres game, Rock and Blast, next Friday night.
I know I'm going to a Guardians game against the Giants in a couple weeks. I know I'm going to one of those.
The Guardians are 0-4 when I've been to their games this season.
It's been split for me. The last one, I think, what was the last one I was at? Shoot. I know I went with a bunch of my buddies. Oh, I went to all 3 games against the Pirates. That's right.
Well, while you're thinking about that, any big national takeaway outside of the Schuylkill trade, obviously, that we've already dove into?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that the Tigers reached out to the Dodgers. The Tigers could have gotten a better return. I'm not saying collusion. Nada. I just don't know why it was like that. I'm just wondering if they just wanted to get the cloud hanging over their heads out of the way. One of the things I noticed just after having some tweet alerts that I was just looking at, a lot of teams said they were trying to target long-term controllable pitching, and they couldn't land it.
Makes sense.
So that was one thing that was kind of a little bit of a surprise. What was surprising to me was after the initial trade that kind of started the dominoes with Curtis Mead for Conley Early between Washington and Boston, that you only had to send out Jacob Cozart for Joe Adell. I liked Cozart a little better than most, though honestly, I mean, given that he was blocked by 3, 4, 5 guys in the organizational depth chart, that's a fair price to pay. But the fact that there's such a lack of right-handed hitting, not just in the outfield, just out in baseball right now in general. Among outfielders, it's probably the worst it's ever been, and that's more statistical based. I don't know where right-handed hitting has gone. And the Guardians didn't do a damn thing to address that in this draft that they just completed. I know it's not the trade deadline, Brandon, but I am very disappointed in the Guardians draft, especially picking a guy like Trey Broussard over a kid who might have been 2 inches shorter at 5'10", had more power, more speed, 5-tool upside. And you take a guy like Trey Broussard who has to become Chandler Simpson in order to be useful. I don't think this draft class is going to look very well in a few years.
Can I ask you just a very quick question? Because then we'll move on here. But because I've noticed, because I just got like the MLB The Show video game probably about a month ago. And I just noticed, again, just playing it around using different teams, it feels like to me, maybe the fact that there's less right-handed sticks and less right-handed focus is more so that, is there less left-handed pitchers in today's game there used to be?
Don't forget there's this left-handers in society in general, southpaws, are only 10% of the world population. That's how rare they are.
Maybe it's let me ask
because
you again,
the main thing is also this, Brandon. Righty, lefty, lefty, righty. Right-handers have advantage against right-handed hitters have advantage against left-handed pitching.
Yep.
And right-handed pitching will not have the advantage against left-handed hitting.
No, that's true. Well, the other thing is there used to be what back in the day you were called, and you know this, you were called a left-handed specialist. Now,
a loogie was what you're called.
Now, because of the free batter minimum, I feel like that's sort of gone away a little bit. Has it not?
It has. The only way it would really apply. The only way it would really apply is if you were to have let's say 5 2/3 innings, your starter goes, you pull a guy in from the bullpen and he gets that guy out. That would still technically be a loogie, but
Yeah, that's
but
the one.
here's the thing: if they finish the inning, they can be
Yes.
pulled out right
Correct.
away. They don't have to get another
Correct.
2 outs.
Yes. That is the one rule that I haven't really cared for. I get it. It has sped up the game a little bit, but it does feel like it takes away a little bit of strategy.
I get where you're coming from, but it also is like they were trying to find a way to get offense into the game again.
Yep.
And
I
the
agree.
deadening, and this is before pitch clock, right? They
Yep.
make these changes before the pitch
Yeah.
clock.
Correct.
I wonder if they dropped that loogie restriction, or like, I don't know, lessened it. What can happen? But it honestly, you've got me thinking now.
All right.
do
Well,
like the pitch clock.
But I do want to say one other thing on the
Go
trade
ahead.
deadline. I was shocked by the amount of interdivisional trading, especially in that AL East and NL East.
yeah,
I
Adley
was
Rutschman going to
shocked.
Boston.
Not because of just the Adley Rutschman deal, like Rays and Orioles, even this past offseason and at the trade deadline. Shane Baz, Tyler Wells. I'm wondering if this is going to become more of a norm rather than the exception. Not necessarily for blockbuster types, because I'm going to just tell you this. I can't say too much right now. Maybe in a few years I can tell you a little more. But just based off of something I heard from folks out of Baltimore last year, Mike Elias is an utter idiot. He is an utter idiot, and he doesn't know talent for you-know-what.
Well, I'll leave it there. And speaking of Boston, Josh, why don't you go and take us away with our NBA topic for the night?
Yeah. So I heard this from Ken Perkins on NBA Today, and it got me thinking. If the 76ers win a championship with Jaylen Brown and LeBron, does that put a permanent stain on the Celtics? Because, again, they're the ones that trade Jaylen Brown to the 76ers.
I'd say it's more so regardless of LeBron or not. Even if LeBron's gone and they still have Jaylen Brown and win a title, that was a dumb move. That was dumb. Let's just all say that. We all know. It was freaking dumb.
Well, LeBron doesn't go to Philly if they don't trade for Jaylen Brown.
You don't need, but Boston didn't need to trade Jaylen Brown.
Exactly.
And they made a move that they forced themselves. I feel no pity for the Celtics.
No, I'm not saying there should be pity of any kind.
And that's why I'm saying I do think they are going to stain their reputation. Like, literally, I'm at a loss still. Like, why would you trade Jaylen Brown? I don't. It's
Fitz,
so
you know this. The argument me and Ungar, maybe our most contentious argument we've had in our damn near 3-year history now of doing this show, has been Jason Tatum versus Jaylen Brown. Because I have believed in my heart Jaylen Brown is just the better player. I think he has more dog in him. I think he's more clutch. The irony is, I think he felt that this year and wanted to be the number one guy and thought he would be the number one guy if he got traded to like a Portland. And then it turns out he's going to Philly. And even before LeBron got there, he wasn't even going to be the number one guy.
Oh, man. But yeah, I do think the Celtics just made a massive mistake. And if the Sixers win, regardless if it's with LeBron or after LeBron, right? Regardless of that, if they win while Jaylen Brown is there, that is going to be, look, Brad Stevens is not Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is Danny Ainge for a reason. I would have given him benefit of the doubt if he had more Danny Ainge track record, but he doesn't.
Brad did make those moves to win them the championship in 24, and they were the best team that year, undisputably.
Yeah, but you can't do that trade of Jaylen Brown. That's the thing I'm saying.
No, I agree, but here's the one argument you could make if you are the Celtics. In the Brown-Tatum era, and Unger, you would know the stats more so specifically than I would, but what did they go to? 6 Eastern Conference Finals, at least 4, and 2 NBA Finals and 1 championship. Like that's pretty good. Every team in the NBA would want that. And so you could say, hey, listen, we got the most out of Brown and Tatum we possibly could. Now, I thought that 3-1 lead that they blew to the Sixers was actually the best thing that happened for them. I came on here the Tuesday after,
that's right.
and I said, they're going to go away from the 3-point shooting. They're going to change their roster. It's going to be for the better. And they just, what was insane to me? I don't know if you remember seeing this story, Fitz, but there was a story that week that according to the Celtics front office, Derek White was their best player last year, not Jaylen Brown. Because analytically, he was better.
No.
Because analytically, Derek White had a better year than Jaylen Brown. I also want to be clear, Jaylen Brown never asked for a trade.
Yeah, that's where it's like, it just
he did go on his Twitch stream and he did say what he said, but he never asked out.
Yeah, it's true. The guy can have an opinion. I get it. He's in a big market. He's got a microscope on him. But the Celtics literally just screwed themselves. That's how I view it right now. Maybe we're dumb. Maybe Brad Stevens is the next Danny Ainge, Pat Riley.
I've been clear on this, that I don't care who you are in the East. The two title favorites next year, and I think there's a gap between the two, are San Antonio and Oklahoma City. And I think there's going to be an even wider gap because I've already said on this show, who I believe is going to be and is already the best player in the world and is going to make an affirmative statement next year. He is on his way to a championship, I firmly believe, and regular season MVP and finals MVP. I'll make that prediction on August 6th that on June 19th or whatever the date is next year, Victor Wembanyama will be holding the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Yeah.
That's not a bold take.
That doesn't really make me...
But I guess my point is, I understand it's not a bold take. I'm not trying to make it a bold take.
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to say, if you're Boston, we have no shot to beat San Antonio or Oklahoma City anyway. Now, the trade for Jaylen Brown, it was a bad return. That's the problem. The problem isn't necessarily trading Jaylen Brown. The problem is the return you got for Jaylen Brown.
Well, I think two things can be true, and I think it was a two-way problem. So I partially disagree with what you're saying. I think, you could tell the relationship wasn't great between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Yes. I think Jaylen Brown even said in his introductory press conference today, he hasn't really didn't really speak with Jason Tatum ever since the trade went down, understandably so.
I guess my take is, if the Celtics didn't win that championship in 24, they don't make this trade. It's easier when you win a championship to say, that's it. We did everything we could do.
Yeah.
They should have won that champion. They should have won the championship against the Warriors in 2022. But
I really don't think so. I think Steve Kerr ran circles around Ime Udoka coaching-wise in that series.
Mm-hmm.
That was... I was shocked Golden State was down 2-1 in that series, and I thought Steph Curry, I'll never forget the game 4, because that was a legacy game for Curry in that game. Down 2-1, going to the TD Garden, ties that series up, and the Celtics at that point, Tatum and Brown, they were still learning how to win, right? And 2 years ago, they take on a Dallas team that just, even though they had Luka and Kyrie Irving, they were completely outmatched talent-wise. You could just tell from game one.
Oh, yeah. Jaylen Brown was the best player on the court in 2024, in my opinion. But no, I'm not trying to take away from what Steph did in that 2022 NBA Finals. That's not what I'm saying. All credit to Steph. He absolutely shined in that series. Him winning Finals MVP, totally deserved. I'm not trying to take away from the Warriors winning that championship in any manner. That's not what I'm getting at. But when I looked at the matchup, just on the court, I felt like Boston had the advantage, and it felt like they should have won that series.
Size-wise, they did. Size-wise, they did. I will give you that.
And I felt like Steph sure, Steph was still great at that time, but I felt like he had slowed down at least a little.
He had
100%. But again, I guess to go back to the whole argument, if you were to tell me in the past 8 years, I would make, let's call it 4 Eastern Conference Finals, 2 NBA Finals, and 1 NBA championship. I would rather take that than what I've had to watch and endure and suffer the last 4 years of being beaten either the second round or being swept in the conference finals all day, every day of the week.
Yeah.
Granted, I'll give you that. But again, the reason LeBron chose to go to Philly is because they traded for Jaylen Brown. So
100%.
So again, to me, if the 76ers win a championship with the current team they have, it absolutely is a stain on the Celtics. It's permanent. Like, I don't think it just goes away. Even if, like, Brad Stevens leaves the team in the future at some point, to me, it's that's still a black eye.
That's where we disagree, because you guys know I'm all about eras. Teams have eras, rivalries have eras. As soon as, like, I'll give you an example. As soon as LeBron left the Cavs to go to the Lakers in 2018, that Cavs Warriors era, it's over. I have no more elbow hatred towards Golden State. It's over. Like, it just ends. And I know, Josh, you don't feel that way. I know you believe rivalries last, basically, in essence, depending on different variations of it, because I know you're still mad over the 2008 second-round series between the Celtics and the Cavs, and I know you haven't forgiven the Magic in 2009. I have.
That one I had forgotten about.
Incorrect, Brandon. Because we beat the Magic in the first round of the 2024 NBA playoffs, I have moved on from 2009.
Well, you've also said you will never move on now from the Knicks. So poor Knicks. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, good. At least someone's holding a big market. The only grudge I'd say on that level that I had was Boston and Cleveland after I was a 9-year-old at ALCS Game 3. And Cleveland went up 2-1 and then blew that series. When you go ahead and sweep the Red Sox in 2016 in that ALDS, that was like an exorcism of a demon. That felt amazing.
We would have swept Colorado in 07 the way
I know. That's exactly why in 2016, my parents and my younger brother walked in while the game was going final. And I'm like, and they're like, whoa, what the heck is going on? I'm like, guess what? The grudge is gone.
Well, thanks for spending an hour with us tonight. We're about to talk fake fighting. So we're going to let you go. Appreciate you as always. I'm sure we'll have you on at some point during the football season. Enjoy the rest of your August. We're about 35 days away from the start of the NFL season. Hall of Fame game is tonight, so we're getting close.
Yep. And let's just say this. If Watson starts over Sanders, I'm not watching a single snap.
Fair enough.
All right, boys, have fun.
Farewell, my friend. Josh, how much did you watch at SummerSlam? Because I know you were bouncing back and forth, South Carolina. I imagine you didn't watch a ton of it.
I wasn't able to watch any of it.
Did you see any of the highlights?
I know everything that happened. So let's get into it. Because the GOAT came back and my one also back. Kevin Owens came back. He is the new number 1 contender. It was supposed to be straight up Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor. Nick Aldis, who put on a hell of a match against Gunther, comes out and says, oh, no, this isn't a straight up singles match anymore. First, he adds Gunther to the mix. And then he says, actually, this is a fatal 4-way. And then we get the return of Kevin Owens.
Yeah, it would have been a lot bigger of a pop if they didn't ruin it like 2 days before. There's some rat in WWE that's given all this news. How did they figure out that Kevin Owens was backstage at SummerSlam? Like, how? What rat in that organization got that thing to Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer? I really want to know. That was bullshit.
It really was. But you know, most of the matches were good. Because I was able to go back and watch highlights and stuff. The most surprising thing was that all but one title changed hands on night 2. By the way, that ladder match was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I thought the Intercontinental title ladder match of WrestleMania, if we're going to compare, I thought was better. I thought the woman got a little clunky at the end, but I thought it was good. I was not surprised by any of the results of night 2. I got every match. To me, the biggest surprise of the entire SummerSlam was actually the girl who you said last week had not defended her title in 100 days actually retained the championship. And imagine, you could make a case outside of the main event Sunday was the best match of the whole weekend between Liv Morgan and Io Sky. They absolutely killed it.
That's the frustrating part with me about Liv Morgan is I don't love her promos. Like they don't work for me personally.
And I know our buddy C-Boss in the past has compared her to, what has he said, a tinier version of Alexa Bliss?
Yes, he hates Liv Morgan.
Which I completely disagree with. I think Liv, in-ring wise, is a lot more talented.
That's where I was going. Promo wise, I don't think she's great at that. Her promos, at least for me,
she's gotten better as a heel. I think she's a better heel promo than a babyface promo.
Yeah, but in general, I think her promos leave a lot to be desired. I don't feel like when she's cutting a promo, I don't feel that like, oh my God, I'm so invested. Like, I just sit there and I'm like, okay.
No, I agree. But you know what? And I said this going into the show. I felt like SummerSlam was going to be the WrestleMania this year for the second straight year, and it was. And the Raw after SummerSlam felt like a Raw after WrestleMania because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, CM Punk has challengers for his WWE Championship. Liv Morgan's got people for her Women's World Championship. Like, what I said it at the time, was WrestleMania just ruined by TKO and they had no plans because this was a completely different product.
And Chelsea Green actually won a legit championship.
And in my mind, she is not the interim WWE Women's Champion. She is the WWE Women's Champion.
And I'm all right with that. Because it looks like Rhea's going to be out for a while based on what she just posted on social media.
Which again, I honest to God, I believe this in my heart. When they announced that there was going to be an interim championship, I said, that's it. Chelsea Green is winning this ladder match because they don't want to tag Chelsea Green as the champion. They want to give her an interim belt so that the fans feel good, so that she can lose it when Rhea is ready to return, so that she can never have a real title reign. That's why, because they have never, ever in WWE history had an interim championship until all of a sudden this ladder match. The champion has always vacated the belt. You don't think they could have made it? I'm using this as an example. You don't think when Seth Rollins got hurt 6 months ago, when Braun Breaker turned on him, they could have crowned an interim World Heavyweight Champion? It's the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, speaking of Braun Breaker, what has happened to him?
He just got his aura back. There's your answer.
Yes, but like it feels like ever since the Seth Rollins feud, he's played a backstage character to everything with Austin Theory and Maxine Dupree. I hate it. So I hope this is their way of getting him back into the main picture scene. Maybe not necessarily in the world title scene yet, but getting him back up into, the top, if you get what I mean there. But in terms of like Oba, I thought they didn't need to make it a Hell in a Cell. I think a street fight probably would have been better because it didn't feel like Hell in a Cell.
There was a rumor going around and I don't know how true this is. The rumor going around was Brock Lesnar pitched for it to be Hell in a Cell because he wanted it to be a cage, but he did not want to take a bump against the cage. I don't know how true that is, but he obviously didn't take a bump against the cage, which didn't make any sense because I do think he wanted to take a bump on the freaking hardwood, and Oba didn't want to do it because he didn't want to freaking kill him.
Yeah.
But, you know,
like, you know, we saw what Drew McIntyre and CM Punk did in Hell in a Cell. So,
no,
like,
I thought it was disappointing. I agree. I wanted them to break the cell. I didn't care about them using the cell per se. I wanted the spot where Oba speared Brock through the cell door. That's what I want.
My favorite moment overall of SummerSlam, though, and we'll get into the Seth Rollins Roman Reigns stuff in a minute, but my overall favorite moment of SummerSlam, Chad Gable winning the Intercontinental Championship.
And the only weird thing about the entire SummerSlam where I thought it was strange was immediately following that match, they have an ad for like root beer or something. This mascot jumps on the apron. I thought he was going to turn on Chad Gable. Like, I thought it was Drew McIntyre or somebody hiding under the. No, it's just a beer sponsorship.
Yeah. And honestly, like, it felt like that match didn't get enough time. Like, the ending just kind of happened. I'm like, what? Like, it didn't feel like the proper ending.
Well,
don't get me wrong. Let me say it like this.
Go ahead.
Chad Gable, like, tapping out Penta, I was cool with. I'm not saying that was the wrong.
No, I agree. What I think went wrong is Penta tapped out immediately once he sat down on the ankle lock. That kind of felt like, oh, it's over. Like, they should have sold him sitting down on the ankle just like 2 seconds longer. I think it would have felt different.
Yeah, but overall, I just felt like that match didn't quite get enough time. It felt like when Penta tapped out, it felt like that's when those two were really finding their momentum and their mojo. And I'm like, okay, I want to see that. Wait, it's over? I don't get it. You know, and you had the human monies on the pole match, which you knew was going to be goofy and silly.
I am fully out on Danhausen. I don't care what you say. I don't care what Jalen says. It's a joke. Danhausen is a joke. And he is super over. They have the ice cream cart. There's so many people dressed as Danhausen. How over is that going to be when we get to Halloween here in a couple months? But
oh, I know.
I mean, they have taken this gimmick, and I said it from the start. The worst thing they did was, I thought it was smart at the start when they did the curse and Dominic Mysterio lost his Intercontinental Championship. But you have to make it where sometimes he curses someone and it doesn't work. When Danhausen's out here cursing people and they always lose, or there's always fireworks shooting up in the sky, it doesn't mean as much anymore. That's the mistake they made with him.
By the way, let me say this. I'm glad you brought up Dominic Mysterio. He won the Intercontinental Championship. He had all this great momentum. You know, you go back a couple WrestleManias, that match between him and Ray was awesome. I loved it. And
not only that, then a couple years ago, he got the big pop, the Fatal 4-Way, when he won the IC title in the match with Breaker and Finn, and he pins Finn. And it's like, I think they did not want to pull the trigger on him breaking up with Liv Morgan and him becoming a babyface, so they didn't know what to do. Because the crowd was turning towards babyface Dom, and they just tried to keep booking him like a heel. And it's to the point where Dom, the getaway heat was gone, and that's where he was at his best, when he could be that chicken shit heel. But he's evolved as a character, and the booking has not evolved with him.
He's doing great down in AAA, and yet it's not translating on the main roster. I don't get it. Like, that was my bigger issue with the Danhausen stuff. Not Danhausen. It's the booking of Dom that has me more frustrated than anything. Because I
can't argue with that.
Yeah. Do I agree with you about the points you're making in terms of Danhausen? Yes, they have overexposed him, I think. I think it would be better if they were using him less so that it had more of an impact. Because now when he's on, I'm just, not that I was ever a big Danhausen fan anyway, because it's always been silly and, funny. And I do like it occasionally. Like, it's a nice little break when you
I guess my argument is WWE has that guy. It's our truth.
Oh, I agree with you. Which I hope they get the tag titles off of R-Truth and Damian Priest. I want Damian Priest back in the world title scene.
I agree with you, but now, by the way, all of a sudden, SmackDown went from having literally nobody but Gunther for Cody to challenge for the championship to Randy Orton, CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Like, what the hell happened over the course of 2 days?
I know. And I like that we're going back into the Randy Orton Cody Rhodes feud, and it's
without the title. And by the way, what I am worried about, that finish at SummerSlam, it does open up the door. If you want to run back Cody Punk in Saudi next year, you can do that now because Cody wasn't pinned clean.
Yep. Again, I think I said this on the air last week. WWE especially has these 4 seasons where it's like you have season 1 where it's the build up to WrestleMania, like the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, all that type of stuff. Then you have WrestleMania season. Then you have like the season after WrestleMania, post WrestleMania season. Then you have SummerSlam. And now we're in that season where it's like, what is that big thing we all have to look forward to? Like,
well, what's interesting is we talked about this a little bit last week. Outside of the Sunday night's main event in Atlanta on Labor Day weekend, there is not a PLE on the docket until October 10th, Money in the Bank, which is interesting because it's not WWE style to spread out PLEs. That's more of an AEW thing to spread out PLEs 6, 7, 8 weeks apart.
Yeah. Granted, All In is in like 25 days in AEW just because of the timing of when Redemption happened. But by the way, Grand Slam Mexico was fantastic last night. MJF came back.
The only thing I saw was Adam Copeland Edge's entrance, which was cool. I don't know anything else that happened. I didn't see anything else that happened on the show.
Okay. But we're recapping SummerSlam here. Obviously,
you're the one that always picks up the topic. Don't blame me. Of course I'm kidding.
Oh, no, I'm not blaming you. But overall, I thought SummerSlam was a good show. Were there a couple matches that I was like, maybe that could have been on Raw or that could have been on SmackDown? Yeah. But Seth and Roman, first of all, Seth's entrance was, good Lord. That's one of Seth's best assets. If you want to say it like that.
I will say, because there was a point in that, and going into it, I had said, there's no way Seth's going to beat Roman, right? When that ref took that bump and Seth gave Roman that stomp and he goes up to the top rope to deliver that avalanche stomp, I'm thinking, oh my God, are they actually going to do it? That match was so well done for a sec, and that's when matches are great.
Exactly.
When 99% of the time you think a result's going to happen, but there's that second where you go, oh my God, Seth's going to beat Roman. And then, bam, the spear out of nowhere.
Yes.
That match was the best WWE match this year. Roman and Punk was great. This just is another level. The only match that I can see topping this match from WWE standpoint, if you want to call it WWE, is the El Grande Americano versus the original at AAA.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah, which I wouldn't call that WWE. I would put that in AAA. That's just my take on that.
No, and it's totally valid, which is why this will be WWE's match of the year. I don't think there will be a close second.
No. But what I was getting at was one of Seth's best assets is the way he plays these mind games. You know, go back to the Royal Rumble a couple years ago when they had a match. He comes out not just in Shield gear, but he comes out in using the Shield entrance, and you just saw the look on Roman's face. You know, WrestleMania 40, he did the same thing. And then with this entrance, you know, it starts out Shield and then it just fades away and goes into Seth's entrance. It just, not just his entrances, but the way he plays these mind games is just so damn good. And of course, he's great in the ring. Don't get me wrong. He's obviously one of the best. But again, just the way he thinks about the way he's so cerebral and plays these mind games is just amazing. I love it.
Well, also, because I want to talk about the champion for a minute. Because when Roman Reigns won the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 42, the two biggest complaints we heard about Roman Reigns becoming champion were he's never going to be around and he's going to win all of his matches by interference. And since winning the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 42, he has stuck to his word that he was going to be around all summer. Now, granted, were there 1 or 2 weeks where he wasn't there? Yeah, but also there's 1 or 2 weeks where guys like Cody Rhodes and CM Punk are not there. It's sort of the new normal in WWE. And number 2, Roman Reigns has won every single match with no bloodline interference whatsoever. No entrance, no coming down to the ring with him, no nothing. The bloodline almost has their own separate story going on while Roman has his own story going on. And they're doing a good job mixing the real life complaints with what's actually going on television, which again was always my point. Because I said the reason why Roman was going to beat Seth is because they have to get back to Roman Reigns and LA Knight, because LA Knight still believes if it wasn't for Solo and Jimmy at Crown Jewel 2023, he would be the WWE champion. And here we are.
Yeah. It does feel like the Jacob is still going now, based on how we ended Raw and the interactions and stuff. I did like that there was no turn. There was no deception, anything like that in that 6-man tag team match. I hope Solo Sikoa actually keeps this character because I enjoy it. And Royce Keys getting killed, little surprising there, but they clearly want to make Jacob Fatu a monster.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to get... I think at some point Solo is going to rejoin the Bloodline. How they do it, I don't know. Whether he's going to do it for War Games, and your War Games team is Roman, the Usos, Jacob Fatu, and Solo against 5 wrestlers, it kind of feels like the move to me. Like Royce Keys, LA Knight. I don't think you need to put 7 there, but 3 other guys as well. And that will probably maybe you put a Braun Breaker in there. Maybe there's different scenarios you could go with there. Maybe you put Oba in there just for protection, you sort of tease the over Roman match down the line. I think there's a world you can do that.
Like that's part of the reason why I don't love that Survivor Series is always War Games. It feels like sometimes they have to force it.
No, I agree. I was never a fan of the traditional Survivor Series elimination matches. So, like, out of the big four, Survivor Series to me has never felt like a big four in my lifetime. I always felt that the Money in the Bank PLE is the other big four because I love the idea of someone at any time cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah. Since Survivor Series switched to War Games, my favorite was when Judgment Day faced Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, and Jey Uso.
I agree. The year before, I would argue, though, was really good because you had the Sami story of which side he was going to be on.
Yes, but personally, I was more invested the following year with the Judgment Day and everybody.
I agree. No, what I will say, last year was the first year it felt forced.
Yeah, agreed.
And this year, I don't know. We have 3 months, so maybe it will, maybe it won't. I mean, you have a faction in the bloodlines. So you have to start. The women's is the one that always feels forced because they start and stop the tag division there.
Yeah. The tag team championships weren't even defended at SummerSlam. Actually, none of them were defended, which is ridiculous. Correct. That shows you the state of tag team wrestling in WWE. But we have gone almost an hour and a half on this thing, dude.
We have, and you know what that means? It is time to wrap up another fantastic 11 months, really, of championship reigns. You know, we came back, I think it was August 28th, and we went through the entire football season. We went through the entire NBA playoffs. We went through almost an entire wrestling calendar, and we went through all the stuff in baseball and the playoffs, the college football playoff, and the World Cup and everything. I can't believe September 5th is going to be our 3-year anniversary of doing this show, and we're coming up on our 4th football season together.
It's crazy, man. You and I continue to have strong debates, and I expect no different come the 2026 NFL season. So stay tuned because we got our football predictions coming. I got to put mine together. I can already tell you, I don't have the Browns with a strong record. Another spoiler, I have the Dolphins with the worst record in all of football.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you there. So I will say this, though, for those of you that are fans of the show, we're going to take a couple weeks off. The reason why is I've been upfront with Josh on this. I don't like talking preseason football. I hate it. I think it's the biggest scam in the world. I will dabble in the Hall of Fame game tonight. I will dabble in the preseason, but it's a bunch of vanilla nonsense. And we spend a month trying to fill time to find topics to talk about where all we want to talk about is getting to the football season. So we'll be back the week of Tuesday, September 1st, where we will preview that massive week 1 of college football that is over Labor Day weekend. And then the following week we'll probably do it on a Sunday again, like last year, our full 2026 NFL predictions, every division, every playoff team, our Super Bowl picks, and awards, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, etc.
Yep. So we'll see you then.